Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So today we are talking Love is Blind Brazil, season 3, you guys, and it's starting off with a bang. So if I wanted to rank all of the Love is Blind franchises, I would say Japan by far is number 1, and Brazil is a close second, and then US is a third, you guys. Make it make sense. And I think eventually they're coming out with a UK version that'll probably be better also than the American version, you guys. For whatever reason, the American version just continues to cast these toxic men and these characters, right? But speaking of characters, we have a couple this season on Love is Blind Brazil. So the first 4 episodes have dropped. We have 5 couples that we just saw basically through their honeymoon and interacting with each other. And here's my take on all of them, right? So my take on Bianca and Jarvis, it almost seems too good to be true, but I think this actually potentially might be the real deal. Because it seems as though their connection is just as strong as it was in the villa. Not in the villa, I'm thinking Love Island, and the pods, as it was in real life when they connected on their honeymoon. So I love the vibes between them. I love that Jarvis is, not feeling a way about the fact that Bianca isn't, what society deems is like the perfect sized woman or the perfect look for a woman or that sort of thing, and is really respecting her and treating her no differently at all. She had mentioned he had a disability. I believe what happened is her left arm, there's a deformity, I think, with like her fingers and all of that, and possibly up to her palm. I'd have to double check that again, but basically she made it a point when she met Jarvis for the first time to have both of her hands on top of his so that he could see and feel that particular deformity, and essentially say, hey, this is all of me, who I am, accept me as I am. And I just think it's great. I think it is great that once again Netflix is expanding the audience and real people, right? Real people that are in our everyday lives that also want love and happiness too, and it's nice to see her being treated with the love and respect that she deserves. So I really hope that her and Jarvis make it. Next, Danielle, and Daniela. I don't see it for this couple, you guys. I do not see it at all. I just think Daniel's toxic. I think him and Valmir, which I'll get to in a little bit, are just completely toxic, right? And he has a lot of misogynist views. I was very pissed off in the pods when he was talking to Patricia and he kept initiating conversations about sex, even though she kept trying to change the subject. And then when she ultimately gave in and talked about, all of the public things she likes to do, and was very open with her, wants and needs sexually, he then runs it back to the guys and basically makes it sound like Patricia is inappropriate. Patricia is out there. I think what actually happened is he might have finally caught on that Patricia was a black woman and he needed an out because nothing else makes sense, right? And the irony in this is the man who, made it seem like he's not all about sex and, really tried to spin that with Daniela, now all of a sudden is the only couple who did not have sex on their honeymoon because Daniela feels uncomfortable with the cameras, and possibly him. We'll have to continue to monitor to see if she starts to see the red flags in Daniel that we've been seeing all along, but it serves him right that he tried to slut shame another contestant, and he is the one that is without sex all the entire honeymoon, and it's the only one, right? And I just thought it was a little childish. The men, I guess they came up with like this howling thing. to, you know, basically indicate whether or not they had sex on their honeymoon. And I was kind of like, yeah, this isn't it. This is not it, you guys. This isn't the flex you guys think it is, right? So I was kind of glad that Maria was calling it out, because I didn't see, you know, the need to make it happen, right? It was silly. But nonetheless, so Maria and her guy, I think it's Mendaro. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I'm going to get it right, I promise. I love their connection. I love their energy. I love how sensitive and emotional he is. I just fear that the moment when things get tough, that it is going to explode like a ticking time bomb. And that has me nervous for the upcoming episodes, that it is going to be either a big explosion of a fight of something, you know, very minuscule, or, you know, basically Mendaro is going to kind of remove himself from the situation, from things escalating. So I am just very nervous, because when Maria made the comment that she was waiting on pins and needles for him to do something wrong, I was like, uh-oh. I was like, oh, this is not going to end well. The moment that something does happen that she does not agree with him or agree with his behavior, things are going to hit the fan. So not looking forward to that at all, because I think it's going to be very explosive and it could really have some serious implications. But outside of that, their chemistry is amazing. They really seem all in with each other. I'm glad that Maria recognized the red flags that exist with Valmir and quickly moved on to Mendaro, and it's a perfect match. It is a perfect match. They look great together, and I hope it goes the distance, right? I hope it goes the distance for them. So next we have Valmir and Karen, you guys. And here's the thing, Valmir, I don't know whether or not I trust him, because he just reminds me of the Love is Blind actor, the Love is Blind character that is going to do and say anything to make it through the show, and that's just bad vibes for me. That is just bad vibes. It's giving Thiago. It is just giving some of these previous male contestants who you could tell maybe you're not in this for the right reasons, right? Because first it was Valmir was all in on Maria, and basically made it seem like nobody else was on, you know, the same level as him and Maria, and nobody else could have Maria, right? Until he found out that she had other options, and he tried to sabotage that, right? He tried to sabotage that and tried to lie to Mendaro that, you know, Maria was closed off, that there's nobody else she wants to talk to or deal with but him, and all of these things. And it turned out to be fake news, right? And then he was getting drunk, and that was really the other issue that I had, is when he gets drunk, he gets very aggressive and says very inappropriate things to people, and has, you know, this type of anger that is very unhealthy. And so that's what my concern was, in addition to all of the women feeling like he was repeating the same script to each and every single one of them, really couldn't differentiate who he was even talking to, until they had to tell him who was in the room. It was very disturbing that he couldn't recognize what voice, you know, he was talking to all this time for the first couple of weeks, and they had to keep reintroducing themselves. Like, it was just very weird behavior. And then how quickly he moved on to Karen after Maria was, you know, completely done with him and broke things off, I also found very suspect. And Karen leading with sex questions to change the subject about Maria, I also felt was suspect, because I felt that there really is nothing of substance in their connection outside of sexual chemistry, right? And ultimately that can only happen for so long, until ultimately you have to be with this person on a regular basis in real life and see who they actually are. And I smell trouble ahead for Karen and Valmir, because his true colors are going to show, just like Daniel's true colors are going to show, who they happen to be best friends with each other, right? Because people who have the same type of mindset especially these two with some of their misogynistic views and their attitude. They're the perfect fit. They make sense as best friends, you guys. They make complete sense as best friends. So I see trouble near for Karen, and I think Karen just wanted to be picked ultimately to try to show up the girls and say, hey, Valmir's not as bad as all of you guys said, but ultimately Valmir cannot leave the mask on for too long, right? And the mask is going to eventually come off, that I feel like we're going to see in the upcoming episode. So I'm not sure whether or not they're going to make it to the aisle. That is one couple I do not know whether or not they're going to make it to the aisle, because I can't tell yet from the previews if all 5 couples are going to be at the altar or not. So this will be interesting. And so finally we have Renan and Agata, and I think they are the sexiest couple, you guys. They're the sexiest couple. I didn't like Valmir saying that they looked alike, that they looked like twins or siblings or whatever. No. They were a very attractive, striking couple. They have this very like chill bohemian vibe together. That was kind of giving me, Renan gives me like Lenny Kravitz, and in the looks department kind of Shaggy, but like his whole aura just gives me like Lenny Kravitz, right? And I love him, Agata. I think Agata, she looks so much like Mel B from the Spice Girls. Like I cannot unsee it. I was like, that is her doppelganger. They look so much alike. But I love their energy. I did not like, I think it was Anna Carolina who, you know, tried to show up the relationship and tried to make it seem like Renan told her that she was the number one and it wasn't Agata. I just didn't understand why she had to lie, right? And that's the only thing I don't like about some of these competition shows is sometimes you have to suss out, okay, who is telling the truth and who is trying to sabotage you and discourage you and make you think that your connection isn't real. And ultimately, Agata started crying, and then Anna Carolina was like, oh, she's being dramatic. But then later admitted that she might have embellished the extent of what Renan said, which ultimately he said she was in his top picks, but he has always made it seem, he's always made it very clear that Agata was his number one, right? But he said basically, you know, she was one of the, you know, top people in his list, but never indicated in any stretch of the imagination that anybody was head and shoulders above of Agata. So that was just, and she played herself, right? Because she ended up with no one that we didn't see, right? So, but I love their energy. I love their chemistry. I love their vibes together. The only concerns that I have is how soon the both of them recently were out of relationships before filming this show, to making sure no matter how short or long those relationships were, if they've completely healed and matured and ready to give their full self to each other in this next phase, because you're talking marriage here. And also the fact that Agata basically says that, you know, she is big on, you know, sometimes she gets jealous and she is big about people's past and that influencing the future. And so wants to know if anybody's going to say or do anything that's inappropriate with Renan, if any of his exes or anybody that's in mutual circles that they have together. And we even see in an upcoming episode that somebody wrote on the board, I love you, because Renan used to live with his ex for a few months, and Agata was freaking out that there was a message that said I love you on the dry erase board, even if it was from an ex. This was way before you. This was way before the show started filming and all of the things. So who cares who wrote that on a dry erase board? It was pre-you. It predates you, right? So I don't know how this is going to go, because it seems like every time Agata kind of goes into one of these conversations about jealousy, about questioning things, I kind of see the demeanor of Renan kind of change up, and it kind of is a turnoff for him. However, he's not the one that I can tell that likes to argue or likes to escalate situations, but I could tell from his body language that he's not feeling that. So I'm a little concerned that this could ultimately be their Achilles heel, and that there could be little arguments that can escalate into larger arguments over nothing, right? Of being jealous over nothing. And I'm just hoping that they can nip this in the bud. I'm hoping that they can get this together sooner than later, so that this does not cost them a potential to, you know, being ultimately happy together. So there is that. So the next set of episodes that we have, as you guys know, as traditional Love is Blind, is when the couples come back from the honeymoon. They now have to live together. It's, you know, less than 30 days until the wedding. So we're going to see the upcoming episodes of them introducing each other to each other's families and their reactions to their children, filming a reality show that they've never met the person and about to marry them for love, and if they're going to be on board or if they're going to be against it, who is going to like who is going to dislike whom, and how is it going to be now that they are not in a honeymoon of bliss and romance and are in a day-to-day where they have to incorporate both their lives and their social medias and their families and everything else into, you know, in addition to being together and being engaged and planning this wedding, and if it's going to work or not. So I'm excited to see the next set of episodes. I wish Love is Blind would just release them all at once so we can just binge and just talk about it. But I'm actually really excited for this season, right? Because for the most part, Love is Blind Brazil gets it right. There's usually just like one, maybe two guys every season, but most of the time it's usually just one that you could just tell is just there for the wrong reasons and it's just not going to work out. But for the most part, it is great to see the couples that do make it work and do make it happen for each other. So there is that. So let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.